everybody, welcome to my Suburban Oasis. My name's Soleil and I garden and live in mid-Michigan, and we are a Zone 5B. It is June and it is a fantastic month for gardening. The weather has kind of leveled out and we have some nice weather in the 70s this week. We're getting some consistent rain and things are just still looking lush and beautiful. So come with me today and we're going to walk around and see what's in bloom, what's thriving, and talk a little bit about some of the things that I am planning to do next in the garden. All right, let's go. All right, well, we're going to start up on the deck today. And what I would say is that it just started sprinkling as we came out, but we're going to continue because I looked at the weather and it looks like it will rain all evening. So hopefully we can get to see some things before they get a little weighted down with the rain. You can see we have a lot of pansies still going on over here in the Protegee area. I've planted out a couple of clematis in these two pots, and I have some annuals that I just got that I'm excited to show you that we're going to be putting in these pots, as well as some obelisks. So I can't wait to get those kind of trellises into these pots for these. Hopefully they'll fit. We have lots of stuff growing in the veggie garden right now. We have some peas that are climbing up the fence and they are flowering. We have our marigolds and our strawberries along with our tomatoes that are just all flowering and getting ready to begin producing. I've been picking on this lettuce almost every single day and it is just full. There's so much of it, it's plentiful. Now we also have some roses and foxglove that have started blooming over here in the Protegee, and they are so pretty. These beautiful pink roses were in my garden when I first came here, and they are still here. So that's kind of a fun thing. I don't really know what they are, but I definitely enjoy them. They have a nice light fragrance, and they do a really good job of blooming. They certainly enjoy being in the Protegee. And my fig tree is coming back well. I planted that last fall. Be interesting to see how big that gets this year. So these were foxgloves that I started from seed and planted out last year, and they're blooming this year. And you can see the irises are definitely finishing their bloom cycle. So I'll be cutting those back this week. This bed over here is looking beautiful. We have lots of dianthus blooming now, and the cat's meow nepeta is absolutely gorgeous as well back there with that light purple bloom. And then we have some bowl of beauty peonies back behind the lady that are in bloom, and despite my best efforts to stake them, some heavy rain has still weighted them down. But I've taken some beautiful flowers indoors to enjoy the scent and bouquets. I have planted up the lady with some ornamental oregano. This is the Kent Beauty, and I think that one's going to be really nice to have there this year. It's pretty good at surviving drought conditions, and we'll have some very pretty pink bracts as it goes on. Now you see I have clipped back very hard my sedum right here. And that's because it's about time to do the Chelsea chop. So we'll be getting ready to do that on quite a few of the different perennials that I have in the garden, including some of the phlox that are not early bloomers. If they're a fall bloomer, I'll be cutting those back. I'll be cutting back the mums and the asters. So that will really just help to bush them out and prepare them to make more blooms for the fall. There are just buds covering these phlox. These are the opening act phlox, and so these will not be ones that I cut back. They do not get the Chelsea chop because they bloom nice and early in the season, which I absolutely adore. I cannot wait to see those blooms. I was kind of hoping they'd be open for you today, but I guess that will be next week. But you can see everything's looking pretty nice and green. My husband just mowed the lawn, which always makes the garden look even cleaner and fresher. Over here I'll show you one of my cranesbill geraniums is blooming, that nice blue violet, along with the Violet Riot type of salvia. I'm also in the process of just starting to cut back my chives because those are all at the end stage of their bloom and I don't want them to set seed. This bed over here is changing over a little bit. We just finished up some of the 9-bark blossoms and getting ready to see some phlox and salvia and even some hydrangea. And what you'll notice is that many of the pulmonarias now at this point are really leafing out. Those were cut back. And then back here behind the hydrangea, this will get bigger. This is the Rainbow Sensation Weigela and it is still blooming. And we're starting to get some blooms on my hanging basket back here. You can just see the glorious big buds on this hydrangea. I cannot wait to see these come out. It's always fun. The anticipation of the bloom sometimes is just as good as seeing the bloom, isn't it? And this is a fireside 9-bark. I thought it was the Diablo, but I've looked and checked and it is the fireside. And it's still blooming. It's a really nice contrast to the ferns, and my hanging baskets are definitely happy in their spot here. So as we head back into the woodland garden, we can hear the drops get quieter as we get under the tree. Enjoy those hopscotch heucherellas. And look at the vase-like structure on this Hosta Crosa Regal. Isn't that beautiful? Just love the waviness of it. The Berneras are done blooming, so I'm getting ready to cut off some of the bloom stalks from those. You can see my lemony lace elderberry is getting taller and putting on some nice bright new growth and looking healthy. And the Pinky Winky Hydrangea Standard over here has really gotten lush and full. Hopefully we'll have some good blooms on it this year. I really like how bright the Halcona Chloe grass is right now. Definitely putting on a show for us. My rhododendrons in this area are also putting on their new growth. It's really good to make sure that you deadhead those after they bloom. And everything in this bed just looks really, really healthy. So I'm super happy with it. The heucheras are all sending up their spikes right now. So you see lots of little what I call dealy boppers. They're like long stems with little tiny flowers at the top. They're beautiful. I'm thinking about taking out these 2 wavy or undulata hostas right here that are green and white, and dividing some of these pulmonaria just to keep kind of an area that is just the pulmonaria there. I think that would look nice. Gardens are fun because you can just keep looking at them and thinking about what you might want to change. And I'm a person who likes to change things up quite a bit. So you'll notice over here on the left, I actually removed the hostas along the edge of this bed because I planted astilbes last year and I really like the look of the astilbes here, and they're going to get quite large. So I wanted to remove them to give the astilbes plenty of space to grow and to flower. And I also felt like they were just contributing a little too much limey presence to this area. So I like the leaf textures of the astilbe, and I put a couple of Brunnera over here, and I think that just kind of adds to this bed nicely in terms of the differences in colors. There was just too much chartreuse. I have a rose over here that is getting ready to bloom, and this one is called Music Box. Isn't that pretty? Look at the buds on that with the creamy yellow and the pinky orange. It's going to be fun to see bloom. Last year it gave me a couple of blooms, but it was its first year, and I think it looks much healthier this year, so I'm looking forward to seeing the show. In this bed, I have also done a little bit of moving of things. So I moved the couple of Brunnera from this bed and moved them over to where you just saw. And that gave me a little bit more room for these hostas to show their stuff. And I cut back the lamium. The lamium really does spread quite a bit. And so I cut that back a couple of times a year. And you can see here where I have already cut back one of my asters. It's a purple aster. And those bloom in the fall, so it works out really well to cut them back this time of year. We'll allow them to put on even more flowers. I can't wait. I'm going to show you my pots while we're over here, just so you can see how they're growing on, because I think they're doing a really nice job. And if I'm on the other side of the pool, you can't see them quite as well. So here they are, and you can just see how well the wave petunias are growing on. Those were grown from seed, along with the snapdragons that are in the back, and the geranium in the middle was grown from a cutting. So those are looking good. And we have some dahlias right here that have buds on them already. And I love how well this dogwood is doing with the tinge of red on the new growth of the leaves. But I think these are going to look magnificent. By the end of the week, things are going to be starting to spill over the edges. And we're going to see some dahlia blooms soon, which is definitely sooner than I expected. Hopefully I don't get any drops of rain on the camera as we go. I'm really hoping to be able to divide this mega caramel heuchera this fall and just put a little bit more of that around the edge of this bed, because I love the pop of color. It's such a nice, bright but soft color, and it just adds so much to this garden. You can see it really well from across the pool and on the deck. I have trimmed back this redbud a little bit just to try to give it an opportunity to sort of even out its growth. We had one side that was really shooting it forward towards the front of this bed. So I think it looks like it's going to grow about the right way now. And in this bed right here, because things have gotten so lush, I definitely have to make some decisions. And I think what I'm going to do is, in this corner, I definitely need to trim the barberry back to make a little bit more room. But I am considering taking this heuchera out because you can hardly see it. This bilberry heuchera that's a deep red in the corner. And then I have another onyx black pearl one right here that is kind of hidden underneath that barberry as well. So just need to do a little thinking in terms of what I want to do with those and how I want to make changes. Lots of color in this back bed here. You know, if anybody tells you you can't have much color in the shade because you can't have flowers, just take a minute and show them this. I do think that I'm probably going to end up having to move some things. I have already edited out some hostas that were back in here because everything just got so big this spring. And I did a lot of divisions last fall, and so it was fun to just put them wherever I could find a spot. And now I've just edited out so that It's more of what appears to be like a thoughtful planned arrangement and pattern to the bed, so I think that's nice. It kind of draws you through the path. The Pieris are putting on some new growth, and I'm really happy to report that after I moved these two Pieris just a little bit, they are actually putting on some new growth. So you can see those brand new leaves that are starting to push out, which are healthy. So that makes me happy because I was really afraid I was going to lose these. And I just really love the Pieris. So glad to see that they're beginning to thrive. Over here we have a lot of green still, but the Macadamia that I have right here is beginning to put on its tinge of red on the leaves. So you can see as it gets more sun and the leaves age, it kind of puts some red on the tips. So that's going to add a little bit of color in this corner of the garden that we don't currently have. And as these Midnight Masquerade penstemon grow on, they will also add to the color with that burgundy foliage. We have some of those along with the bilberry heucheras. So I divided and planted those last fall, and I expect they'll grow on fairly well this summer and do even better next year. Here we have another hardy Cranesbill geranium that comes back every year, and it's nice to tuck them in the back so they just kind of grow forward and over and through things that are planted in front of them. So you can see these chives definitely are ready to be cut back, so I'll be doing that hopefully when the rain's over. But I will say that this bed is currently looking very cheery and bright and full of color, and it's just fun to watch the transition of this over the year. So again, another hardy geranium over in that corner with the blue purple flowers. And I think my transplant of my clearance false cypress back there is looking good. And all of these bright, bright dianthus. I love this color. And I want to divide more of this and try to replace some of the more variegated dianthus. You'll see I have another pink that has kind of a little bit of white variegation in the flower. And I like this solid color better, so I want to divide some of this and continue to kind of spread that through the garden and replace the ones that are variegated. Then we have lots of buds happening on my climbing rose back here, and I have left the old canes just as a form of support for them to grow up and to train them to. We have some buds on what I believe is the ultra pink opening act flax. I think I have some white ones in this area too. Ooh, it's really starting to rain now, guys. Hopefully we'll get through this whole tour together. But just look at the heucheras. They're all just popping out. Some of these are the Carnival watermelon variety and the Georgia peach. And in the back, some of the regular caramel. They're not mega. And then over here, we have the Delta Dawn. So many different varieties. And this little Devil 9 bark over here is still blooming. It looks so pretty. Its blooms go very well with the plum pudding heuchera blooms. And over here I told you I would tell you what kind of penstemon this is. This blue penstemon is called Pristine Blue. And the colors on that are just magnificent. I definitely will be dividing that one as it grows on. And then these alliums continue to look beautiful. These are the Mediterranean bells. And I'm just thinking they're looking cute this year. And the fire gold spirea is looking gorgeous next to the purple salvia. And then one of my favorite salvia, because probably all of them are my favorite. This one is the rose marvel salvia. I have a blue marvel salvia that I'll show you as well, but you can see how the flowers on these vertical spires are just so much more robust than some of the others. And lots of buds all over this quick fire hydrangea. And over in the fountain area, the Weigela has not quit blooming yet. We still have some blooms on that shrub. And the gorgeous foxglove, look how tall that is. That is 5 feet tall. It is as tall as me. I'm a little person. And these gorgeous globe-shaped alliums. Isn't that stunning? And then, kapow, look at this. Wow, I love this rose. The coral color of this. All the rage, that's what this one is called, all the rage. And it really is. I cannot believe these spirea bushes haven't flowered yet. But guys, check this out. I have amazing blossoms on my mock orange. I have not had any to enjoy until this year. And they are so cute and beautiful. And they smell so good. I love it. And they hide my mess back there. So, those are just looking fabulous. All right, let's check out the front yard. My liatris is really pushing out growth right now. I think we're going to start to see some blooms on that probably by next week. And so that is going to make a really lovely and beautiful color alongside the hedge of boxwood here. And then if we come around the other side of the boxwood, we have some more of the dianthus, which is absolutely adorable. This is that pom-pom pink dianthus, just along the edges in between. Isn't that pretty? And these geraniums in my sort of window box over here planter are just happy as can be. And that was overwintered. Looking so good. And this side bed, guys, I don't know. This is just, it's so magnificent right now in terms of the color. I wish I could show you this all in one shot, but I can't. It's so long. But when you look at it, all of the colors just go together so well now. And I'm just thrilled with what it looks like this year. Maybe my favorite year so far in this part of the garden. You can see how those wave petunias are doing. These were the ones we got on clearance and planted last week. I mean, those are really standing out well. And in both of the containers, the clematis are starting to do their thing and climb up the obelisks. And we have the beautiful pink, I believe this is the Merlot Rose salvia. And of course some of the chives are still blooming in here, which are a member of the allium family as well. And the peonies. I've cut some of these as well for a bouquet because we have so many different colors. I think that dark pink in the back, I think that's the Carl Rosenfeld variety. Rosenfeld? Not sure how you say it. But these were planted here when I first moved in as well. Very, very long-lived plant, peonies are. So if you have them, they will last a really long time if you take good care of them. And this bed, the viburnums are looking gorgeous. And if you can see peeking out next to those as well, the white in back, those are roses, and we'll take you around back to look at those. Those are the Oscar Peterson variety. And we have that deep blue May Night Salvia in there. And then just between there we have some of that Scaviola that we planted. These are the Blue Muffin viburnums. This is their, I want to say their third full year. And here are the roses. These I had in the backyard, but they struggled with powdery mildew by the fountain. And out here, they love their life. They're blooming more profusely. And I have not had any problems with the powdery mildew out here. So sometimes it's just important to give them a little bit of a different space. And maybe they'll like it better. And the clematis out here, which I believe is the Niobe clematis, is blooming. Just starting to put out its blooms. It's a very rich, deep red velvet. Isn't that gorgeous? Very, very full. Now in the front sunbed, things are absolutely thriving right now. It is very full and very lush and lots of color. But you can see how I have some of those variegated dianthus, and I feel like they detract these two that I have out of all of the rest of the dianthus that are the solid color. So I really want to replace those with the solid color dianthus. But look at these Schubertii alliums up against the May Night Salvia. And it's kind of sandwiched between the two sedums. Aren't those gorgeous? Just like 4th of July right here in the garden. And the Deutzia are still blooming. And we have this Vernique Blue Veronica next to the Rose Marvel Salvia. It's a stunning combination. And then an even lighter pink salvia that we have in here is the New Dimension pink. So let's just walk around this and get a glimpse of it from the other side, because it also looks beautiful from the other side, but very different. And the two Bobo hydrangeas, we have one right here and one on the other side, right down there. They are starting to put on some of their buds, so that's exciting. I love to just kind of look back through and see how the colors play against each other with all of the different blues and pinks. It's like a painting. In fact, one time I had a neighbor stop by. I think it was a neighbor. She drove by and she stopped her car. She just said, "Are you an artist?" I said, "An artist? No, why?" She said, "All of those colors." And I thought to myself, well, you know, I guess in some sense, gardeners really are artists. And the garden is our canvas and the plants are our paint. And you can really paint very different pictures with them. Isn't that stunning right there? Look at all those beautiful colors. The Veronica's really strong this year, and I cut it back last year and it did not rebloom for me. So I'm thinking this year about leaving it, but I think it's just going to flop if I do that, so we'll see. Maybe I'll just cut from the sides of it so whatever's upright kind of stays up. I don't know. Have to think about that. We have the alliums popping up over the boxwoods over here. So very, very colorful. Lots of fun. And we have some daisies that are going to come up. They're kind of slow to evolve and come out this year, but they will be here. Then we have some great beauty with our pink sparkler spirea up here. And the hostas that are really starting to fill out now in this area, which create a nice bright spot. These are June hostas. And June hostas have that nice yellow with the blue outer rims. All of the hostas and hellebores in this garden, along with the maidenhair ferns, they're really quite healthy plants, and they really require very minimal maintenance. So if you want something that doesn't require a lot of maintenance and you're not too worried about deer, hostas are the plant for you. And look just how blue the Fothergilla is now. This blue shadow Fothergilla has put on a very good waxy coat now. This was another plant that I had to move until I found just the right spot for it, and it seems really happy here. My $35 clearance autumn blaze maple that we planted is thriving over here. And the hostas and the phlox. I do need to come over here and get rid of the daffodil foliage. I missed this bed, it looks like. So we'll have to take care of that, but the Paint the Town magenta dianthus is looking good too. And we have this nice focal point at the end of this garden. Very, very full this year. I do need to do a little trimming on these fragrant low growth sumacs, but the lily of the valley is so full and tall this year. It's covering up some of the places to see that. So I'm going to wait until it kind of gets a little drier to do that. And here we are, arriving at the end of our tour. We made it through the rain. It's been wonderful. And I hope you enjoyed the tour. And I hope your gardens are looking great and you're beginning to enjoy some of this nice summer weather. Take care, and we'll see you soon. See you next time. Bye.